Hello everybody, thank you for joining me today. So today's video we're going to be working on a watercolor technique using watercolor pencils. Wow, that was a difficult tongue twister. So come join me at the table. I already have some pre-cut out cardstock. Now I'm using Vicky Bouton's foundations paper, and these are the color pencils we're going to be using, the Distress watercolor pencils. There are six different tins. Most likely I'll probably just be using the top one, but I just wanted to go through all this stuff. We're going to be using an archival ink and a pigment ink. And then we're also going to be using some embossing. Most likely I'm going to use the clear because we're using the black. And we're going to start with the heat embossing because that usually takes a little bit of the longest. So when you're a beginner watercolorer, Jesus, I always suggest doing heat embossing with your image because it creates little wells for your watercolor to go into, okay? Because when you emboss, you get a little bit of a raised edge, okay? It'll allow for a little bit more precision because it'll help block from, like, other colors spilling over. There's a lot of different things that you can do, okay? And to me, it's a good way with you using like your water brush pens, and if you're using an actual regular watercolor paintbrush, you'll find that especially in the beginning it's a little bit easier. So since we've already kind of talked about embossing on a previous video, I'm doing the same thing, treating our paper with the powder. I'm using Versaclear black ink. Mine is seriously drying out. I gotta get a refill, but just wanting to ink it up to show you the different options of what we can do. So I'm hoping I'm going to get a better press this time. Since on that first one, part of it didn't fill in all the way. And then this one was a much better full coverage with the stamp. And these, I'm purposely not going the whole front of the cover. I want a little bit of plain on the right side. I think it'll be really pretty, and then we'll do a sentiment at the very end. Now, I have plenty of powder, so this that I'm scraping off with my brush, I'm just going to throw out and keep it moving. So we're going to close this up, and we're going to grab our heat tool. And I'm going to heat from the front and the back, always doing it that way just to kind of minimize any warping. A lot of times I do start from the back and then hit it from the front, and I find that it does less of that curving. But if you go straight to paper, straight to the project, and start heating it up, once it's all done melting, then heat it from the back and you'll see it kind of go back to its original shape. And be careful, when it tells you it's hot, it's definitely hot, okay? I don't want anyone burning their fingers on my account. All right. And of course, once it's heated, it takes no time going through. And holding it this way, you can see it basically coming to life. It's so cool. Alright, and just heating it from the back again, like I said, and then it helps to maneuver the paper. So now we're going to do our other two pages using Catherine Pooler's Midnight Ink, and this is an archival ink, okay? So with archival inks, it does tend to stain your stamps, but the key is to clean it off before you let it sit too long. If you let it sit too long, it's not going to be good. Now look at that. That image is gorgeous. We're going to ink again and do it one more time. And I made my pages 5 1/4 by 4 inches. Oh, no, I didn't. I'm so sorry. I forgot. We do wind up having to trim these down. These were made at 5.5 by 4.25, which is normally your card front. So if you don't mind covering up the whole front of the card base, that's fine. Leave it at the size that it is. For me, I always like to trim stuff down. That's why I was leaving a lot of that open white space, because I know it's going to basically go away some, because we're going to be trimming everything down. So that's why it didn't bother me that that was open on that side. And right now I'm just taking some stamp cleaner. This one is from Brutus Monroe, and we're going to go ahead and get that nice and cleaned up. And you can see, even though it was archival, I got it off fast enough, it didn't leave any stains. So now, you have a couple of choices. You can use water, dip your brush in, and color that way. Or you can use one of these water brush pens. And once you have the water on the inside, all you do is press, and that water comes down into the bristles, making all your water system right there in one hand, okay? So I grabbed Villainous Potion, and I'm just going to scribble a little bit here on my clear mat. It's hard to see, but I just wanted you to see that you could do it a couple of different ways, right? So you can lay down some color on the actual paper, and then grab that and pull it up onto the petal itself. Or you can grab from the glass mat and add color that way. And I'm just holding this up so you can see a little bit more. So when you add water to these pencils, obviously it turns it into more of a watercolor effect, okay? And I think that's the best part, is that I love, you could just scribble some paint down, and as long as your brush is wet enough, you can move that ink, that color around. You're not left with like harsh lines and stuff like that. These are made to activate and blend with water. So now I'm going to pull out a couple of colors. I'm green for the leaves, some yellow. I like the bright pink, and I think I wind up grabbing a blue too, but we'll see. And I did put some of the pink onto the glass mat as well. And I'm going to grab some of that and color in my flower. So for me, the watercolors, watercolor pencils in general, I really like on my scrapbook layouts using the neutral tones like black and browns, the grays. Sometimes if I want to create like added dimension or separate, let's say pattern papers, then I like using those for shadows. And then there we go with the pink. The pink is coming along. And I was going to open up the second tin when I realized there's no point. I can just use the one that I already have open, and that's fine. But if I was looking for one of the very specific colors, then you can always turn over the back, and then you find the color that you're looking for. Make sure it's in that particular tin. All right, so I'm coloring the insides of the big flowers, and then we're going to do the rest of this blue one, and we'll keep coloring. It doesn't take long to fill in, but on camera wise, I want to say this entire card front. Now when I say like I colored it all in, it's not as what's the word I'm looking for? Complicated. Because there are a lot of flowers on here, but I just keep using the same three colors. Pink, the blue, and which I want to say the blue. No, it wasn't peacock feathers, but it's a really pretty blue. I just can't for the life of me remember which one it was. But I love the pink too, because the pink is picked raspberry. So it's a very vibrant, pink. And it just goes really well together. I like these three colors together. And then once we get the bigger flowers done, we're going to go and do some of the smaller ones. So I'm doing purple here, then blue, and then I do wind up doing a few yellow flowers, even though I know we had the center is yellow on some of the flowers. We're just going to create a fully realized bouquet of flowers on this card because it's so pretty. And while we're doing that, I hope you guys are enjoying this new series. Well, I kind of brought back a series, and then we have a part 2 to it now where we actually take our technique that we learned and put it to a project. The first few projects we did, it went on a layout. The last week's, and then this one here, we're doing some cards. So it's going to be a mixture as far as the projects, as far as like which thing I make with that particular, technique or idea. And I really enjoyed this one. I find watercoloring to be very relaxing. And I don't know if you guys feel that way, but it's just, you get a really pretty payoff and not having to do much. Okay? And don't worry, if you color in a spot of the flower that maybe should have been green or should have been a different color, it's okay. Because in the long run, when you look at these, it's just a beautiful cluster of flowers. And it's such a beautiful stamp itself that whatever coloring you're doing, it's really impactful, You can also do a thing where they call it highlighting, or not highlighting, spotlighting. So most of the card or stamp, it could be in all just the black and white. And then you just do colors on a few of the flowers, and then maybe like stamp another one, color it, and then pop it up with those same 3 flowers. So it gives a little bit of dimension and you're spotlighting that color. That's an idea too. Isn't that pretty? And we haven't even started doing any of the green. Now we're doing the green. And the green is, it's awesome, right? You just lay it down. I put it down in like 3 different areas and just started then coloring it in. And the green just kind of fills it out. There are still elements that I leave just the black and white image. I don't color the whole background in green, which I think just makes it feel more homemade in a way. I don't know if that's the way I really want to explain it, but I like the fact that there are some pieces that are still just black and white. And then there are the other leaves that are all filled out. You can, of course, color in the whole thing. You do you. But you'll see at the end, I think it turns out to be quite beautiful. I love this image. And this is a stamp from Stampers Anonymous. And this one is a Tim Holtz collection. And it is called Floristry. And you get like sentiments, it actually came with a block inside of it. So that one I was using to stamp down the image came in with this stamp set, which is super fun. You don't always get that with collections. All right. So we're just going to keep coloring in, and we're really almost done. All right. Okay. So again, you'll probably, if you decide that you definitely want to get these, you'll want to get a pencil sharpener. I have one here somewhere, but there's one that I want to get from Prismacolor. I think it's supposed to give you a nice sharp point, which would have been fantastic for this type of a picture. But for right now, I'm using the tips that came with it because I haven't used these a whole lot. I hope to use them more now that I pulled them out and played with them a little bit. They're really quite fun. And you get a lot of a pigment for it to be a watercolor pencil. And we're just going through making sure everywhere we laid down crayon or color is getting hit with the brush to kind of smooth it out. All right. Just a few more to go. And then tomorrow, like I said, we're going to do the task of actually putting together the final cards. And there's a few things we're going to talk about tomorrow with this particular stamp, or in regards to this type of stamp. Even if you don't have this exact one, if you have any floral stamps, all that I'm going to share with you, even with this, is you can use it on that. You know what I mean? Like, even if it's just 2 flowers, heat emboss it, then color it. You'll see you're able to keep colors in certain section, and you can create, shading and things like that. So, depending on how big the flower itself is. So, don't be afraid. Now, what I'm going to do now is rub on this plastic that was on top of them in their packaging. I'm going to add some water, and I'm going to do some splatters. Now, here's the thing. When you use watercolors for splatters, it's very mild. It doesn't stand out. It's very, laid back as far as, what the splatters are going to do. I find I really like the black soot distress stain. I like how it stays vibrant even though it fades back to the background once it starts to dry. So I was happy to add that to my little pool of black, and then go ahead and splatter that on, clean the brush, and wipe away the extra. Okay, so since it wasn't giving me the darkness I want, I'm just gonna do my splatters the way I do, right from the bottle itself. And then I'm gonna also hit it with some gold. The only thing I'm not hitting on this one is the white, because a lot of times I like to use black, white, and gold, but it's okay. I like how it turns out, and the gold and the black stands out enough that I didn't need the white. And there's our splattered background. All right, now off camera, I did most of the coloring on this one. This is the one that we did with Catherine Pooler's Midnight Ink, so it's all flat. And I will tell you this, spreading and getting the color down, yes, it's way easier with this because there's no bumps. It's going to feel weird when you're coloring the embossing one. Okay, but don't worry, because the color is getting there. And once you add the water, the color shows up, and you're like, oh, with this, you have more fun laying down the ink, and then you spread it out and make it look finished by using the watercolor brush. Both ways work. Both ways are okay. It doesn't matter which one you do. Just do whatever is easiest for you. Now, on this one, I laid down some of the Villainous Potion. And I'm going to grab the brush again, add some water, and then we'll splatter using the Villainous Potion. All right. So on this one, we'll wind up having a little bit of black, gold, and some of the Villainous Potion watercolor splattered on the background. And I'm going ahead and splattering on top. And I was a little worried because I didn't want to lay down the black soot on the wet area and then it wicks out and it looks strange. So thankfully it was okay. It was pretty much dry. And now we have this wonderful floral that's going to be a beautiful backdrop for a card to somebody. All right, so there's our final project, you guys. Now, or not project, our technique, which is watercoloring with watercolored pencils, specifically using the Distress watercolor pencils. Fun. And these almost look like Easter colors, too. So, you could even make this a happy Easter card. All right, well, come back. Come see me tomorrow, and you'll get to see these two be turned into card fronts, and It's going to be so much fun. All right, you guys. Thank you so much for joining. Have a great day today. See you tomorrow.